person. To me, that symbolizes the best filmmaking and the biggest risk, in that you take a subject matter that's kind of taboo, you get a script you believe in, and you get a madman and say, here, take this money and go to some distant part of the world and see what you're going to come back with. But unless you take the risk and say to somebody like Francis, who's capable of doing something really great, here, go off and push the edges of the envelope, do the best you can, and let's see what happens. You're never going to make that kind of film.
Films cost more to make today than they ever did before. It means that the bigger ideas, if I ever wanted to do the greatest show on earth, like Cecil B. DeMille, that picture today is almost not affordable. You almost couldn't go off and make a picture on the grand scale of the greatest show on earth without spending between $65 and $85 million. So yeah, the pressure's on. Every time you make a movie, even a small art film, is costing $15 to $20 to $25 million. So it's not easy anymore going back to the old days when you got more bang for your buck.
The amounts of money riding on a picture are so great that it tends to impede the creative process. You don't want to take those risks because you're afraid you're going to lose your shirt. I mean, one film can kill a studio, and essentially that's what destroyed the 70s.
I found myself after Star Wars. One, it was very difficult. I had no money. I was under a lot of pressure. I didn't like not having complete control over everything, which I did have on graffiti and I did have on THX. I edited them, I photographed them, I wrote them, I did the whole thing, and I had control. And if anything went wrong, I just pushed the guy aside and said, here, I'll get the prop. When Star Wars, I couldn't do that. It was way too big, and I had to rely on a lot of other people. So after I finished Star Wars, I knew with the success of that I had a chance to finish the saga, because I had this 3-part thing. Only I knew when I finished Star Wars, I wouldn't have the energy and the control by directing it, because I was down there in the trenches trying to direct. There was too much stuff going on above me that would sabotage the effort. So I moved upstairs and I became an executive producer.
It's like the other ideologies that failed, like communism or something. I mean, it's a great idea and you can believe in it. It's very glorious to run up the steps of the Presidium bearing a red flag, but then the bureaucracy takes over, and in that case, the idea was that all of these young filmmakers were going to be able to express themselves, and they were going to be filled with great ideas that would change the world and give us great works of art, when in fact these young filmmakers had no great ideas at all, or any ideas at all for the most part, only gave us greater explosions.
And these days, it's a matter of, the film should make money, it really should. But if you feel it's not going to, if you feel it's not going to make money like Goodfellas made money, which I didn't think would make money either, but it did, or Cape Fear, then you have to be prepared to cut your budget down. So the studio takes less of a risk, and it's tough on me. It's my problem. I have to find a way to get the picture made and be able to say what I want to say.
I felt then and feel now that the important thing is to keep working and keep making interesting films, and even if that means working at lower budgets or now working for cable television, so that's the important thing.
One opportunity has presented itself after another, and I've kind of moved along. I mean, if you asked me 2 years ago if I would be producing television shows, I would say absolutely not. I never will go into television. And here I am doing television. I have no idea where my life is going to take me. I just, whatever feels right is where I go to.
It was a golden age of filmmaking because we were all single, ambitious, and we were in love with film. We're still in love with film. But we're no longer as ambitious, and none of us are single. And I think once we started getting married and having kids, we began to fraction, and then we began to divide, and we began to go into our own lives. and our own lifestyles. When I had a family, I know that the amount of time I talked to George, Francis, and Marty on the telephone was cut down in half. And as I went from 1 to 5 children, now we have to make a conscious effort to reunionize and get together, and because now I'm sort of in my family and into my life in a kind of a more of a homey way. But when I was in my 20s and they were in their 20s, we all, you know, we were kind of married to each other.
As you get older, it's more, you know, here we go again. The struggle's on. Is the fish going to eat me, or am I going to eat the fish on this one? And there was some kind of camaraderie back then that, and I guess you were not, you also felt immortal. The fish could never completely eat you. But as you get older, and you feel your feet and legs being bitten off, you begin to wonder, are you going to survive this one?
I still feel that I'm part of the Hollywood system, because in the end that's the dynamo that generates all of the money, and you know, eventually it filters down through and into independent films. But you have to respect the engine, and the engine is the commercial film industry. I mean, I remember once rather humorously having a conversation with George Lucas, and George was saying that he wasn't Hollywood because he lived up in Mill Valley. I said, George, I hate to break it to you, but you are Hollywood.